Exclusive story also today, as always, here, and is about a Chelsea talent, but it could be an important piece of the puzzle, because the player is Tyreek George, the striker of Chelsea, who did quite well also in Conference League last season. Well, there is, from what I'm hearing, a strong, concrete, real possibility to see George leaving Chelsea on permanent transfer this summer. So that's a concrete chance. Chelsea would love to keep the player, to keep control, but at the same time, I'm hearing that the player wants to develop, wants to play. He loves Chelsea, he respects Chelsea, but he feels that at Chelsea there will be now many offensive players. It's going to be very difficult for a player like him to find game time. So obviously he's very young, he did very well last season, and he wants to develop, he wants to play week in, week out. And so at the moment, the feeling is that Tyreek George can leave Chelsea on permanent transfer. I can tell you that Premier League clubs, also Italian clubs, have called in the recent days to ask about the situation of the player, but from Germany, the interest is the most concrete. My understanding is that there is a strong chance to see Tyreek George ending up in Bundesliga on a permanent transfer before the end of the summer transfer window. There were some calls from Borussia Mönchengladbach, but also keep an eye on Red Bull Leipzig, because Leipzig are in direct contact with Chelsea. The two clubs, as I'm telling you on daily basis, are discussing about the Xavi Simons deal on a daily basis. I know on Xavi Simons there were some reports on social media of deal already done 3, 4, 5, 6 days ago. Guys, done is when it's done. The player is still there in Leipzig camp, so the deal is not done. What I can tell you is that the deal has very good chances to get done. I keep repeating that since start of July, when I started reporting on Xavi Simons and Chelsea, Arsenal interest, but now Chelsea remain in talks with Red Bull Leipzig, and during these conversations between Chelsea and Leipzig, the name of Tyreek George appeared, was discussed. So there is a chance for Chelsea and Red Bull Leipzig to discuss Xavi Simons, as they are already doing. It's already advanced. The player wants to go to Chelsea, but also to discuss in a separate topic, but still same discussion, same clubs, Tyreek George. So keep an eye on this one, because obviously if Leipzig get Tyreek George in the deal, can make it easier also for Chelsea to accelerate for Xavi Simons. And remember also on Chelsea outgoings, guys, because Tyreek George leaving on permanent transfer. Armando Broja, permanent transfer to Burnley, done, medical done, all done. Mark Guiu to Sunderland, the player arrives today, tomorrow will complete his move to Sunderland on loan, no buy option. João Felix went to Al Nassr. So Chelsea are working on several outgoings, and this is why Xavi Simons, advanced negotiations, as I told you, with the player pushing to go to Chelsea as soon as possible. And then, don't forget the name I'm telling you for weeks, for months now, Alejandro Garnacho. Last night I published a post saying on my Instagram account that Garnacho and Xavi Simons are not alternative, are both targets for Chelsea, confirming what I've been telling you for weeks. The like of Alejandro Garnacho appeared. I see many comments on social media, but what's important is to see the like from the player. I think it's an important confirmation of this interest from Chelsea. The player is fully aware of Chelsea interest, and I can tell you that Chelsea are fully aware of Garnacho appreciation. So it's a mutual feeling between Chelsea and Garnacho. The player wants to go to Chelsea. The player is giving total priority to Chelsea. The player is waiting for Chelsea to act. At the moment, still not a direct negotiation club to club, but I expect that to happen this month in August. So let's be patient on that one. Now, priority for Chelsea is outgoings. Second priority is to bring in Xavi Simons. And you can see, I told you in the recent weeks, outgoings are going to be important, and now Chelsea are working on several. So not lying on the timing of the deals. That's the point. Outgoings, Xavi Simons, and then Alejandro Garnacho remains a topic. So Chelsea, Garnacho, very good feeling, priority from the player. Alejandro is giving priority to Chelsea. Personal terms, not an issue from what I'm hearing. So now Chelsea really convinced to go for Garnacho, but it will depend obviously also on the transfer fee. And so we have to wait the moment when Chelsea will approach Man United. But this approach will be in the next weeks for sure. I expect Chelsea and Man United to talk soon about Alejandro Garnacho topic. So we said about Garnacho, we said about Xavi Simons, we said about Chelsea outgoings. On Šeško I will keep you posted as soon as possible, guys, but I see now we are all aligned on what I've been telling you for days. The player decision is what matters, and so let's wait for that. Also important to mention, guys, Nicolas Jackson. When we mentioned Chelsea outgoings, we mentioned many, but also Christopher Nkunku has to go and will go this summer. So Chelsea and Nkunku will find a solution this month. And Nicolas Jackson is not a player that Chelsea are actively trying to sell. But if they get a good proposal, Nicolas Jackson can still leave Chelsea in this August. So it's still a concrete possibility. I will still keep an eye on Nicolas Jackson because there is a lot of interest in the player. The strikers market is quite hot around Europe. in the recent days and weeks, will be even hotter in the next weeks, and Nicholas Jackson can be part of that. So I told you about Joe Felix, I told you about Tyreek George, I told you about Mark Guillot done to Sunderland, I told you about Broya, Sterling has to go, Nkunku has to go, but don't forget Nico Jackson, because Jackson could be also the next one to leave Chelsea in the upcoming weeks if they get a good proposal, and so a big movement around Europe regarding strikers is expected in the upcoming days and weeks.